You know, someone very profoundly once said, many years ago, that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Oh, beautiful, full spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Patriots and Petticoats, it is my pleasure to welcome you aboard Flight 1776 with service to the United States of America and continuing service to a more perfect union. Federal regulations require that carry-on items are stowed prior to closing the aircraft door. Your items may be placed in an overhead compartment or completely under the seat in front of you. Use caution when placing items in or removing them from the overhead compartment, and let us know if we may assist you. In order to expedite the boarding process, please be seated as quickly as possible after stowing your items and take a moment to review the Constitution and Declaration of Independence located on the device in your pocket. If you are unable or unwilling to perform the functions as described on those documents, please let us know and we will find a more suitable destination for you. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to spending our evening with you. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Tuesday evening's edition of Patriots and Petticoats. You have me, literally Heather, with my co-hosts Chris and Eric from Patriot Sports Radio. And then you also have our wonderful guest, the anime queen of Burger King. This is Fox, who is joining us this evening. So thank you, Fox, for being on here with us. With that being said, I wanted to really quick start off the show with the breaking news, just because.
I mean, which one?
Well, I mean, the most important one. We have the Colorado Supreme Court, in a ruling of 4-3, has decided that Donald Trump cannot be on the ballot for.
So 4 people.
The state. Yep. And what I find really fascinating about this entire situation is it is based not off of any sort of legal ruling that came against Trump. He has not actually been convicted of the crime in which they find him guilty, essentially.
This is poll numbers and pure fear.
Yes. So before we get into that, I would like to show you this clip that came out. And I sent this over to Chris, I think earlier this week. But this clip, or later last week, maybe like the weeks run together. But the clip is of all of these talking heads fear mongering about the world is going to fucking end if Donald Trump makes it into office. So I'm going to play that really quick for you guys.
Whiskey, what's up? Texas, how you doing, Jake? Heavy, what's up, boys?
A second Donald Trump term look like?
Well, he cannot be the next president because if he is...
You can't imagine the things that he's going to do. Mexico, Canada. We can't go to Canada because eventually Canada will become annexed to America.
And shoot visitors to the White House. Yeah. That means he can shoot the First Lady.
We're going to see violence, the likes of which we didn't even see on January 6th.
Make it illegal to run against him, to throw his opponents in jail, to shut down the media.
He will make himself into the Führer, and he will make everybody raise their hand and salute him.
Using martial law against the American people. terminate the Constitution,
Rewrite the Constitution.
create mass internment camps.
Throw everyone
Mass
into
internment
Gitmo.
Might be sent to jail or their rights
Newsflash,
might
they
be
exist
suppressed,
already.
especially minority groups in society.
You might have
Minority groups.
any number of things happen to you and your family.
Every one of us, our freedom, our liberty, none of us is safe.
He's going to have people around him executing against an enemy's list.
Assassinate generals.
Ordering troops to attack American citizens. Trump's very well armed and extremist base will try to kill people.
He's going to basically burn the house down.
He will unravel the institutions of our democracy.
Draw similarities between Mussolini and Hitler.
Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini.
Makes Donald Trump even more dangerous.
Wants to take away your vote.
Senate and the House are immediately going to be paralyzed.
People will begin in their minds to censor themselves. They might say, well, maybe I shouldn't say this.
It's the end of democracy.
I think that could be the end of our democracy.
But democracy is dead if Trump is reelected.
Cozy up to Putin that democracy will be at risk.
The absolute destruction of the Justice Department as we know it.
The Justice Department could be entirely transformed.
I am really concerned about that.
Every person who was associated with the attempted coup elevated in the administration.
If he's reelected, he will curb transgender rights.
And the rule of law.
Arrest political opponents.
To persecute, not prosecute, but persecute his enemies.
Take a wrecking ball to the rule of law.
He's going to make the law. Everyone else will have to follow.
A vote for Donald Trump may mean the last election that you ever get to vote in.
To go after the independent and free parts of American civic life.
He would tear down our institutions, purge the government of employees,
Department by department effort to weaponize the powers of the government.
to use the military to quash protests. Ridding the government of all democratic safeguards.
Junking American democracy as we have always known it.
That he would try to stay in office beyond a second term. That he would never leave office.
There's no question.
Trump is reelected, he won't leave.
Donald Trump will never leave office voluntarily.
And what that means is that everybody who wants us to remain a republic has to put every other thing aside and work together urgently right now.
Rachel,
They sold me. I'm endorsing him.
I know. Okay, Fox, you bring up a very valid point, right? So this video had the exact opposite effect for me. I don't even want to vote for Trump. I don't even want him running for president. But I literally, after watching that montage, I'm like, fuck, man, I'm going to go vote for this man. I want to see all of you fucking cry the way that you did in 2016. I want to watch you be miserable again. And I shouldn't feel that way. I shouldn't be like, in essence, spitefully voting, if that makes sense.
I sent a "you mad, bro" text message on election night 2016, and that person never spoke to me again.
Oh my God. That's fucking great. But yeah, so I think that has the unintended effect. Like, I don't think that they're accomplishing what they want to.
No, everything they do backfires. They arrested him, and the hood loves him now. They make this, and I'm like, hang on, he's going to tear down what institutions? I can get down with that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so tone deaf that it almost
They
comes
really
across as if they're trying to help him, even though they're true believers in everything they say.
Hold on. I just want to tell you guys something really fast that I'm really excited about, and I just noticed. Our X live feed is coming to the chat.
Yeah, that's new. That started last week. I started with Football Super Podcast.
Yes.
Last
So
week.
I'm so pumped. If you're
That's
watching
why I was
over,
like, whiskey hell, because I was like, where's that tweet coming from? He's never, and then boom, it says that.
if
right there.
you are watching on Twitter right now, click on the actual image to bring up the live feed, and you can participate in the live chat directly from Twitter. Whereas in the past, I would have to keep pulling up the different platforms.
Feeds.
Heavy Steps is still over on Rumble though.
He's a
Cohen
real
is a sleazeball. George Conway is a weird looking fella. I just got brainwashed watching this video. Heavy, are you gonna vote for Donald Trump now?
Maybe.
Ooh, the fuck! If Heavy comes back with even a maybe, like the tides turn, bro. I do want to really get into this with Fox, though, while we have
I
him,
do. Okay, so real quick. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. Not that one. So Colorado Supreme Court has now said Donald Trump cannot be on the ballot. So
well,
there's
obviously,
two
he's
things.
going to shoot the first lady, Heather.
Yes, I know, right? He's going to commit mass murder now at this point. So, Fox, my question to you, like to kind of start this off, is does this open the door? Because that's what it feels like. It opens the door for other states to just pile on to the point where it gets like the work back is too slow. Like this is like their last ditch effort. We don't think we're going to be able to put him in jail, so we're doing everything we can to keep him off the ballot.
And we're 11 months away.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's for the primary at this point, and I mean, if they really wanted to kick him off the ballot, they would wait until right near the certification of the general election ballots that go out in mid to late August. But I mean, part of this is like a test case for other states. Part of it is part of it's they're true believers, but it's not gonna work in their favor. The court now has to respond to this, because if the Supreme Court ignores the issue, it's going to create a crisis. And that's the last thing Roberts wants. But it was done in such a poor method that it's going to establish a precedent that favors Trump, and then it's going to stop states, I think, from
even trying
to get him off the ballot. Like, if I was the DNC, my strategy would have been completely different, and I wouldn't have, pushed the court into writing a 200-page order that you could just pick apart to death. And that's one of the flaws in the court's order. But just to give an overview for everybody, the qualifications for President of the United States is determined by the Constitution. And you have your age requirements, you have your citizenship requirements, but in the 14th Amendment, you have Section 3, which does not allow you to run for office, that's Congress or president, vice president, or hold certain positions if you've been if you engage in insurrection or rebellion against the state. And even then, Congress can remove that quote unquote disability. Now, the problem with that is, under U.S. law, those are criminal acts. And what happened here is they sued in civil court.
I was just going to ask, Fox, am I missing something? I may have missed that if one of these cases came through some podunk fucking court and somebody ruled on it. Has he been convicted of an insurrection?
No, he hasn't been convicted. There's the impeachment. That doesn't mean anything. That went to nowhere. There's been no charges levied against him under federal law. There's been no adjudication. There's been no trial by jury. All there is a civil action saying that we believe he should be disqualified from the ballots, or I guess more appropriately from it, he should the Secretary of State for Colorado should be enjoined from certifying Trump for the primary ballot because he doesn't qualify because XYZ. And then they just did a hearing, which in civil court, it's a lesser evidentiary burden than in criminal court. Preponderance of the evidence versus beyond a reasonable doubt. And the applicable laws for inciting insurrection or rebellion, you have to show that they knowingly committed an overt act to further insurrection. And when you look at the other federal laws regarding riots, it's you have to prove intent to incite the riot. You have to prove intent to participate in or carrying it on out. And then you have to prove that they intended and also committed an act of violence. And you can't, regardless of whether or not you think January 6th was insurrection, that's nearly impossible to prove in court to that evidentiary standard of beyond a reasonable doubt. You just can't do it. And one of the problems is, and I posted this on Twitter,
Unbelievable cliffhanger.
I know, right?
That was the perfect spot too.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
Okay, you're
now
back.
Am I back?
Yeah.
I'm on my phone, and I switched pages and it went out. But so I can't pull it up. But the court said in one of their paragraphs that Trump, quote unquote, encouraged the rioters to be peaceful, and that alone just undoes the intent argument right there and the participation. At that point, that is reasonable doubt. They can't make a determination, even if the court had jurisdiction, to make a criminal adjudication, which they don't. So, I mean, it's ironic given the fact that in this ruling on the 14th Amendment, they violated the 14th Amendment.
So, Fox, real quick, right now, the Supreme Court has agreed to take up the cases of the January 6th defendants with the obstruction of a formal proceeding, or however that's worded. Well, if the Supreme Court overturns that, does that kind of like negate the whole insurrection conversation anyway? Because the proceeding did take place. It wasn't stopped.
You still have the attempt there for the January 6th, and I think you still can get them on obstruction or even attempt without it being inciting rebellion or inciting insurrection. So we're looking at two different charges under federal law.
Gotcha.
Or three, technically.
Is Donald Trump? I'm sorry, I'm hearing myself back. Is Donald Trump? Is this is insurrection? Is he in court for that case?
I don't believe I don't believe he's been to Colorado at all this campaign season. So no. He's been in Iowa and Florida.
Is there an indictment right now sitting there for insurrection somewhere?
Not that I'm aware of.
What the fuck are we doing
here? Yeah.
Nothing. So this is just a public perception trying to move some polls for a second to make Joey feel good with his ice cream. Because this means nothing.
Right? It means nothing.
It's locked there.
They're trying to make his base think
money.
It's not worth going out and voting for him, maybe. Trying to just take the wind out of the sails.
Get the fuck out. His base?
I don't know. I don't know like if there's an ulterior motive to demotivate the people, because the reality is this does motivate the base.
Yeah,
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now it doesn't. Normal people, your everyday people, don't like it. They're not going to care. I don't think they're that forward thinking with this.
So okay, real quick.
I think it was just a group of plaintiffs took it upon themselves to file the lawsuit, and then the court was like, "Oh yeah, we can stick it to him. Let's do it. Let's do this." And then create this record for other people to use to kind of do the same thing.
We got the right people in place to shove this through right now. Let's do it.
It gives the next person, and somebody in Colorado, or more than someone, maybe somebody's plural, are making a great name for themselves right now politically out there, like the chick from New York, like running on it, like we're gonna do it in all their inner circles, blah blah
Oh,
blah.
for sure.
So there's a lot of personal ego there, probably. I mean, that the people that love Trump, I mean, it is crazy, and the people that hate him, it's fucking like the polarization of this dude is fucking out there, man. Yeah, I've never seen anything like it.
People
Speaking
have
of
his
which-
merchandise in their homes like he's Dale Earnhardt.
Yes.
I'm
Trading
gonna go
cards.
to our Rumble chat real fast where
Heavy's getting after it.
Heavy's over there.
Somebody's got to
He
save
said,
democracy.
No way.
Exactly.
Over my dead body. Somebody's
voting
got to
for Trump.
save. Yeah, he's not
We got
voting for
time to
Trump.
get him.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah. Somebody's got to save democracy. Yeah, this stuff is dumb. Just let people vote for whoever. Why do both sides try to make voting so hard in different ways? It's wild.
That is an interesting
Casey
It's all
says,
out there. It's just to keep us busy.
Yeah. Casey says, isn't there like 20 other states waiting on this decision with pending lawsuits? And then they
And what does this mean, Fox, when Ghost myself said, and they state it? What does that do? Is that significant?
It just means that no action is going to be taken to further the court's order until it's essentially been decided by the Supreme Court before the filing deadline. So you just don't act. They have a decision in place. Nobody's taking action on it. So it's paused. That's all it means.
Here's the problem with all of this already. It's still 2023. We're going to all vote like happy little fucking American citizens. We're never going to get a fucking result. This thing is going to get sued. 12,000 lawsuits on this side, 12,000 on this side. It's going to be a fucking nightmare, dude. That's what I'm afraid of.
I don't know. I don't think so. Like you look back at 2020 and the number of lawsuits that were filed.
I wasn't dialed in like I am now, Fox, so I have no idea.
There weren't a lot across the board. Most of them were withdrawn immediately. The problem is the Republican Party, the right-wing groups, they don't have people with experience in this area of law. They have a bunch of hobbyists who are politically minded, who dabble in it. They don't know what they're doing. Like I've litigated against these people, and you see them make the rookiest mistakes. And the sad thing is the people who do it for a living, who are in government or working for public policy oriented law firms, are all left of center. And they do this shit for free or for like political associations. They are very good at conducting these lawsuits. So when they go in and they're they're filing the case, they're going through the documents, it's not their first time and they're not learning it on the fly. They know what they're doing. They're experts in handling this type of litigation. The Republican Party does not have that. They have a group called RNLA, which is their lawyers association, but it's a handful of people. They rely on volunteers. They have no infrastructure. And part of what fucked Trump over in 2020, like let's just say the allegations were true or partially true, is he had no legal infrastructure in place before the election. And the RNLA didn't have any organization in place before the election. And I was a member at the time, and they only sent two teams, one to Georgia for the runoff and one to a recount in Wisconsin after the fact. But before that, no mobilization, no movement ever. And it was a bit crazy to go through that, especially in light of what happened in 2000, because that was like the hallmark of Republicans in lawfare, where W. Bush had a massive legal team and people like Ted Cruz were on it. and they mobilized for Florida. They were mobilized in a lot of other states, but they were able to put people in numerous counties throughout Florida and have full-on litigation teams going at once. And it was a well-oiled machine. And then we've gone from there to like 5 people across the United States doing this.
Wow.
You know what it feels like since I've been like really paying attention to politics in my lifetime is that the Democrats come to a fucking heavyweight fight with the Republicans. They come in, they're like, our gloves are weighted. And
they come in with rust knuckles, weighted.
Yeah,
they have substitutes.
We're gonna call when the bell dings, and we're going to cheat during this fight. And I feel like the Republicans are like, take my gloves up. We're going to be moral. We're going to do the right thing. And we just take fucking L after fucking L. Like somebody Gen X needs to get up there, pull the fucking gloves off and say, fuck you, motherfuckers. And Vivek, people are starting to do that. They're starting to be like, shut the fuck up. And that is very fucking important to me as the Gen X guy that's just tired of the fucking bullshit. Let's just get on with life. But that's how it feels. That's how the political ring has felt in my lifetime. That the Democrats are like, here's what we're doing, and you ain't going to stop us. And the Republicans are like, nope, we're not. And we're going to fight fair because we're moral and just. And we lose. Am I wrong?
Yeah,
Am I seeing this correctly?
There's a part of the Democrat operations where it's a well-oiled machine with a bench and a group of people to draw upon for office that are willing to take those pay cuts for public service. Whereas the people on the right who get into office,
they're capitalists. They're like, fuck,
well, it's a completely different mindset where they're not group players, they're not team players. They're lone wolves who go in and they just want to advance a career in politics, and they get very territorial, and then it just leads to factionalism. And like, I've lived through this, and I've seen it take place. And if you're watching your state politics, you'll probably pick up on it. But they develop into all these different factions where they hop around from office to office. Whereas like on the Democrat side, you tend to see more people going in and out of politics without it necessarily affecting their bottom line. And like that like lone wolf attitude makes them very cautious because it's about them and their own personal image and not the group. So they become very cautious and paranoid. So they lose any like cavalier attitude. And
do you see? Go ahead. Sorry, Fox.
There's something too I've seen personally where, because I have witnessed the transition from Democrat rule to Republican rule in government, whereas the Democrats kind of had a lot of time to iron out how to govern. And of course, there was corruption there, but
they figured out how to get together.
Yeah, Republicans, when they get into office, they kind of get like starry-eyed with the power and the budgets, and they go hog fucking wild in a spending. And what's funny is, in my experience, the Democrats were able to have lower budgets and better operations and like fewer employees, and then Republicans came in and it's like expanded benefit or pay for the people at the top. Budgets just go out of control and they just buy. It's really bizarre.
Fox, well, I've got you. I know you may not be able to stay with us the entire time because I know what you got going on tomorrow. So, real quick, I want you to kind of explain because this has obviously gone viral. It's blown up. Couple law tube guys, have chimed in. They're like, "How do you get this decision?" Almost like in a nefarious way because I know what she's saying, but these law guys know that a lot of people don't comprehend it. So from your perspective, I would like for you to explain this situation with Letitia James. I'm going to play this clip real fast.
Weeks in court, we rested our case against Donald Trump, the Trump Organization, and other defendants. We brought this case after our 4-year investigation revealed that Donald Trump committed repeated and persistent fraud and unjustly enriched himself, his family, and his business. Before this trial even began, the judge ruled in our favor and found that Donald Trump did engage in years of significant financial fraud we uncovered.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop it there before we play any more. So this line has just really captured a lot of people. Before this trial even began, the judge ruled in our favor and found that Donald Trump engaged in years of significant financial fraud that they uncovered. So, talk the audience through, how does a judge rule in favor of a decision before evidence has even been presented?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways. One, you can have hearings over discovery and admissibility of evidence, so the court can rule what is going to come in for trial, which in this case it's a bench trial. So they determine whether or not this evidence is appropriate. They can determine whether or not the evidence needs to be, I don't want to say redacted or filtered, but limited, so only certain portions of, let's just say, a document are admitted for limited purposes, etc. That's preliminary. And then from there, you can have pre-trial motions. You can, like, there's the motion to dismiss. That's just based off of the pleadings. You have motions for summary judgment, which is pleadings plus your record evidence. So you can filter issues out and resolve factual issues long before you go to trial. And everybody tries to do that because you don't want to sit there and have, hearings on 100 points of evidence or issues of fact when you can have, let's say, 5. I don't understand why the people are they're freaking out because it's drama bait. And one of the largest accounts that's doing this is a Canadian attorney who was anti-COVID protesters, anti-lockdowns during the trucker protest until halfway through he realized how much money that these people were raising on like the GoFundMe's and shit. And then all of a sudden he became the most radical pro
Is it
trucker
Viva Fry? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
That's
he is he's a guy who panics about everything. And he does this all the time where it's Chicken Little. And it's not a big deal. Like it's dumb of her to go and make these videos, and it's political.
Just all clickbait.
There's no reason she should be doing that other than to advance her own image. But it's meaningless.
Hold on. I do want to ask a question though. By her going out and making that statement, does that give the Trump team grounds to ask for a mistrial or a dismissal, suggesting that the attorney general has now stated that the ruling was made prior to? Like, that's a public statement made on the attorney general's Twitter. Is that something that could happen from this?
No. It would be, you'd have to make something so egregious, like, in order for a mistrial to happen. No.
Coming from a guy that does HVAC for a living and not law, just listening to her say the judge ruled before a hearing is like, what the fuck?
She certainly has lost public opinion points in
because
this.
my perspective
I see that
of a courtroom is you have a trial and then a jury or a judge decides what happens after the trial, not before. I thought that we had an entire like system in place that was against that.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of Judge Joe Brown, and
when
the
she just
ruling
says
is always at the end.
When she just says that, it
Judge
fucking
Judy does
erupts
not run a
people.
courtroom like this.
Yeah, and that's
my blood pressure.
That's fair because like
you've already explained it. I'm already getting pissed.
Yeah, and I mean that's probably something she didn't even consider is the fact that the layman isn't going to know about preliminary hearings and evidentiary hearings and everything that takes place.
Fuck no.
Before a trial or what could possibly take place before a trial, and
she couldn't have used her words better, Fox.
Yeah, I mean I don't know if she's the brightest.
No, she's not.
Bulb in the
judge found him guilty before the trial, so we were good. What?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so initially I thought that this was a grand jury hearing that she's referencing because that is done behind closed doors. Donald Trump is not allowed to present a defense at that time. And there's this viral discussion on the left that says that, you know, in the city of New York and in this type of trial, Donald Trump's legal team had to have checked a box that said he wanted a jury trial, and they didn't check that box. And so now he's fucked and the judge gets to rule without one or whatever. Can you kind of explain what that is?
Yeah, so you can waive your right to a jury trial and choose to go before a judge in a bench trial. And he did that. It wasn't just a omission. It was he deliberately chose and signed off and waived his right to a jury trial. And that's intentional. Especially in a criminal setting, and I don't practice in New York. I'm not licensed there. I don't know what their procedural rules are, and they're very weird. But, you know, in nearly every jurisdiction in the United States, if you're going to be charged with a crime, the court is going to have you appear in person because it's the defendant who makes the plea. They're going to ask you series of questions to make sure that you're of sound mind, that you've had adequate counsel, that you've made your plea with knowledge, and whether or not you waive your right to a jury trial. So it's not something that just, I fucked up on the signature page and now it's I gave up the ghost. Like that's not how it works.
Right. Real quick to the chats. Jake said the courts have decided the process can be whatever they want it to be, and fuck CODIS, which I think might be cunt of the United States. I'm not really sure what CODIS is. Maybe
Courts,
a new name.
maybe.
I'm calling Judge Judy, and she's gonna be pissed because I'm sure she's at some party.
Yeah, that inflamed me because, like, from a guy that doesn't litigate from a living, that just mechanics on fucking motors and shit. That's not how I thought our court system worked.
No, I thought we had the due process.
And really what it was just shit wording, just clickbait wording. She didn't have to write it like that.
Oh,
yeah.
Constitution of the United States.
Oh, that makes sense.
Probably should have known that.
Sorry, Jake.
Thanks, Jake.
Feeling really good on Patriots Petticoats tonight.
Oh yeah, the Constitution.
I forgot about that.
That silly document that everyone ignores these days. Okay, so some other high-profile news hit the airwaves this afternoon. 170 high-profile associates of Jeffrey Epstein are to be revealed in court documents that will be unsealed in early 2024.
And all
Okay,
redacted. Perfect.
is this a valid source? Because there was a QAnon thing going around on Twitter yesterday with the list, and
Well, this was the New York Post that I got this article from.
I also see that Senator Tillis to introduce legislation barring federal funds from states misusing the 14th Amendment.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. They don't even know what money is.
So it says the dozens of people who have until now only been identified as Jane or John Doe have 2 weeks to appeal the decision before the information is unsealed in full. So it looks like there will not be redactions in this. We're going to actually get the names.
Wow.
Said Pruska did, however, make concessions for certain individuals, arguing that releasing their identities would disclose sensitive information regarding an alleged minor of sexual abuse who has not spoken publicly and who has maintained his or her privacy.
So what is it? Is it they're getting too close to UFOs, or Hunter Biden just is something else stupid?
I think that this is going to be, I don't know, like it could
something's going to
politically
happen.
damaging for. So okay, so here's my thing, right? We've been waiting on this list for a long time. We want to know the names, right? Marsha Blackburn even says in here, she said, given the numerous allegations of human trafficking and sexual abuse, I think it's important that we identify everybody that was on that plane, how many trips they took on that plane, and the destinations to which they arrived. So,
and their hard drives.
Here's my question of curiosity to you guys. When this list comes out and you see Donald Trump on this list, you see Bill Gates on this list, you see this laundry list of, like it says, 170 plus high profile associates. Is that grounds to say everyone on this list is a pedophile and they were participating in the events that Jeffrey Epstein did at his island?
Yes.
Or do we give the benefit of the doubt to say, okay, he is a high profile billionaire. It's possible they could have just been soliciting money from him or, having professional business dealings with this man. I'm genuinely curious where you guys stand with this, because this list is going to come out. Donald Trump's name is going to be on the flight log. It's Donald Trump's name is going to be on this list. So, and I'm cool one way or the other. If we're saying that this list is people who bought children from Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, then cool. So be it. Every name on this list is fucking persona non grata. We're done with these people. But I'm curious where you guys stand with that. Like, what does that look like?
I think leverage on people is a currency in that world. And I think definitely a percentage of people probably didn't know what was going to happen. Right. When they, these people get on jets all the time with other rich people, probably. And then all of a sudden they have you. And now you have to come out and say that you have 17 boosters and you feel great or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody on that list is guilty of something, I think, just because of look at how hard they killed the guy. Look how hard they've tried to keep this list from coming out.
Right. Fox, what are your thoughts? I saw you on mute.
Do you remember the allegations back when he was still alive? How people were talking about how he was kind of public and would talk about all these crazy ideas and genetics, and it was kind of known that he was wanting to do like a breeding program at his New Mexico ranch. And if that was the public knowledge amongst this crowd of elites at the time, now coming out and talking about it, like, of course they knew this dude was weird as shit.
Right.
And just who the fuck meets, like, if you're a millionaire, a multimillionaire or a billionaire, and you're at a cocktail party and some like weird Aspergerish guy comes up to you, talks about, how he wants to breed with all these people out in New Mexico. Oh, by the way, come to my island. Like, who the fuck goes to the island?
Right. Okay, that's fair.
That is.
I actually didn't know the New Mexico thing. I guess I just operate under the premise that once you reach like a certain level, like the Bill Gates and the Jeffrey Epsteins, like you've reached a level where, vanilla standard sex is not going to appeal to you. You're just going to keep upping the ante until you're doing such degenerate things you just deserve to die at that point.
I don't know if it's about the pleasure at that point. I think it's probably more about the power and dominance.
Control, yeah. Casey says she said it to inflame on purpose, talking about Letitia James. Jake said, I need to tune up my wood chipper. Tex said, thankfully, Trump wasn't an Epstein client or his name would be named. And Jake said, so terrorist attack or mass shooting to overshadow the release of this list in the news. You sound like you've been reading Wrath of the Wendigo, Heather.
I don't know, Jake. I'm thinking it's going to be a ship sunk in the Red Sea.
I think it's going to be an earthquake. They're getting pretty good with natural disasters lately. An earthquake or a volcano. We just had a volcano go in Iceland, and now they're telling us, oh yeah, volcanoes go off thousands of times a week. It's totally normal. Really?
Ooh, I saw that volcano this morning. Like it turned into the sun for a minute. Like it was a pretty big eruption. It was a big one.
I forgot about that. Did it wipe out?
What's up, Jonah?
Hey,
good to see you on here. Haven't seen you in a minute.
What up,
people?
Okay, next up, Chris.
Here we go.
Chris's subject for the day. Holton Township, Michigan, has established its own militia to protect the Second Amendment. Declares it will not enforce new red flag laws restricting gun ownership. So it's a town of about 2,500 people. They have declared themselves as a Second Amendment sanctuary. So here's what's different about this and what I think is pretty fascinating. They have taken it a step further and encouraged the residents of their community to sign up to their very own militia. They have said, essentially, we're going to deputize you. So I'm going to read through this just a little bit. The people of Holton Township, through their this is like their statement that they released. The people of Holton Township, through their duly elected members of the Holton Township Board, hereby designate Holton Township as a Second Amendment sanctuary in order to preserve for the people of, on, and in Holton Township the inalienable right guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States of America. The Holton Township Board hereby declares its intent to oppose any infringement on the right of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms. We, the people, hereby declare our inalienable rights, our freedom, and our liberty as guaranteed by the Constitution. The addendum laid out conditions for residents wishing to join the militia. They must be over the age of 18, have passed a federal firearms background check, and state on open, I thought this was really interesting, state on open social media or by letter that they wish to join the militia. The addendum also says that the township will not acknowledge any new laws that are associated with red flag laws. And it goes on further. It says a red flag law is a prevention law that permits a state to order to have a person's firearms temporarily removed if they present a danger to themselves or others without defining who gets to make those rules. So I think this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that every town in America should be going to their boards, their councils, their sheriffs, everyone, and setting this up in local communities. and just create stalwarts across the country of sanctuary cities and towns for the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
I mean, for me personally, I would move to this township solely based on the fact that they value the rights of the citizens that live there.
What do you think the rate of home break-ins and carjackings is in that township?
I'm going to say not very many. Crime
So
is
that-
probably relatively low.
I'm
Fox,
going
talk to me about the legality of this.
Yeah, about what is the addendum
I
mean
don't
at
know.
the
Like,
end?
Michigan is so crazy where it goes from Detroit to, 50 paramilitary groups in one county. I generally you'll see in states in many state constitutions it will define what the militia is, and I think Michigan is far more loose on what that is, whereas some states will give control to the governor or allow a sheriff to call forth the militia and then like limit that there's various different quote unquote restrictions, but I mean it's freedom of association. It's peaceable assembly. Like go and do it. Don't be a weirdo who gets involved in suspicious plots that involve vans, and I'm not going to say anymore.
Kidnapping governors. It's
Yes.
crazy, like in the very state that happened is where this is happening.
Clay Martin activities.
Right. Yeah. Oh man. Oh shoot, that's funny. Okay.
Furry lodge activities.
But I mean like legitimately, I think that this just like, we've got Colorado taking Trump off the ballot. Okay. Well, we'll create sanctuary cities for guns. You've created them for illegal immigrants. You've created them for drugs. We're going to create them for the Second Amendment.
Yeah, it's a sanctuary city. And it sounds pretty, right? Sanctuary. Very safe.
Sanctuary. Like go around ringing the bells.
I wonder why their crime isn't just fucking crazy, because their gun ownership is.
Right. Okay, what else do I have for you guys? Oh, okay, one more thing, Fox. I don't know if you're gonna stay for the whole show, but so Kevin McCarthy today officially submitted his House resignation.
What the hell took so long?
It says McCarthy, who made history as the first speaker to formally be removed from the post, announced his coming resignation just before California's deadline to file for re-election. He does, though, guys, just so you know, plan to stay involved in recruiting and mentoring candidates because he did such a good job of it.
Yes.
With his official resignation, though, it is possible that the razor-thin House majority could shrink to 2 members in the coming months, depending on the timing of other planned resignations and elections. So according to California state law, Newsom has to call for a special election within 14 days of when McCarthy formally departs his seat, and that election would then take place between 126 and 140 days later. So, okay. I don't like McCarthy. I think that he was a pussy. I think he's a uniparty individual. He was playing both sides.
Mm-hmm.
He did not accomplish anything that he promised, even though it was a short period of time that he was Speaker of the House. But leaving those margins so paper thin at such a crucial moment, it's literally just like looking at Matt Gaetz and saying, fuck you. Fuck you for taking my seat from me. Fuck you for humiliating me. Good luck getting anything passed from this point moving forward.
That's exactly what it is, and it's him taking his blow and going home. But the crazy thing about it is, Trump had endorsed him and spoke highly of him, and then Gaetz came in, caused the rift. And then that caused a rift between MTG and Gates, and then Boebert, and then things got all crazy and peak drama happened. And while I'm glad he's gone in a way, it is incredibly stupid for what Gates and company had intended, because now they're down Santos, they're down McCarthy. There's another guy resigning
There's two
in
more
March.
that have announced they're leaving. Yeah.
There's a senator. I think there's at least one senator, but there's also like a suspected list of other Republicans that may drop out at some point in the next few months as well. And right now, I think we only have a 5-person lead. So it's, I mean,
so if the Democrats go get a couple of hot chicks to go fuck around with a few,
they don't even need to do
there,
that. They
and
just go to.
They just need to sit and wait till all the Republicans quit.
They just go
well, I'm
to
just
a
saying,
couple.
if they give them the flu or COVID and they're out for 2 weeks,
yeah,
then that is done.
Yeah, or swing
don't have to
state
resign.
moderates from like Maine or Maryland, places like that, who will flip
Texas.
sides over an issue like abortion.
That's gonna
I mean, we may as well not have the House right now.
Abortions is an issue that they need to sit down and put some thought behind on how they're going to tackle this.
Speaking of abortion.
So I have some news. We're heading back out on the road. This time we are going to start our fight for our reproductive freedoms tour. We're going to start in Wisconsin. We're going to be organizing. We're going to be gathering. We're going to be building coalition and community to fight for reproductive freedom. There is a full-on attack in our country against the ability of people to just make decisions about their own body and their life. So join me. I will see you soon, and take care.
We didn't even get
this
a
message.
I was just so disappointed in that.
And they're combining that with the child treatment for puberty blockers and all of that. But they're going to take that message to Pennsylvania.
That's not going to help them.
No, I think it will help them in certain states.
Yeah,
like
not
like
Wisconsin.
Pennsylvania, Michigan. And you only need 2
Ohio.
or 3 of the swing
It's
states.
gonna help in Ohio.
That shit's not going to play here.
That's right, because Ohio had the
Ohio put abortion on the
ballot,
ballot and it won.
No, I'm talking about the fucking
the chemical castration drugs.
Yeah, you're not gonna win on abortion, Republicans. You are way in the fucking minority.
I mean, like, you're starting to see the drum up of the celebrity endorsement. Like, watch this video.
If they wanted, listen, Heather, if they wanted abortion codified, they would have codified it. There's one issue that brings that base out and that can turn an election, and that's what they have is abortion. Is moms wanting to slaughter their kids. That's all they can run on.
Yeah.
And
you can still be whores with our party. Vote for Democrats.
They have absolutely mind fucked this country.
You can kill your baby with us.
They've absolutely mind fucked.
I'm gonna start. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start creating like fake Democrat ads and be like, vote for us. You can have sex and kill your baby. Like, the anti-campaign. But watch this clip.
Women don't inseminate themselves.
She's crazy.
Women don't inseminate themselves. Women don't inseminate themselves. Women don't inseminate themselves.
Starfish over there just thinks it happens.
Was that new? Is that new information? What was that?
Women don't inseminate themselves.
I get that.
It's not our fault that you get us pregnant.
What?
Yeah. They are.
I don't know about that. I saw some video on Twitter the other day about this new product where it's like a device to take semen out of the fucking condom and then
right at Target
it into you.
Yes, right at Target. Yes, Target's selling them now off the shelf.
Wait,
you
what?
Can, you
whoa,
can,
whoa,
Yeah,
they
there's
have,
this product that they
there's an
use.
insemination kit now.
The thing that NBA groupies use.
Yeah, and they're selling it as like marketing it as a, don't tell them, and you can just get pregnant anyways. But it's just like it's like a dildo with a hollowed out center, and then you get this
bullshit.
and it's like a plunger kit.
Look it up. Google it, Heather.
It's crazy.
I am Googling right now. Holy
we all have the internet today.
Yeah. Y'all
No
take your
way.
tips. Yeah.
This is how
no
NBA
shit.
players end up with 15 kids.
This is why the NBA tells you to fucking flush it or take them with you.
Yeah, you can't just like leave it.
Yo, they have actual briefings to take it with you.
Frida fertility
It's in their it's in their contracts.
Yeah.
Those provisions are in their contracts. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
Welcome to 2023, Heather.
So not.
But that's just on the shelf.
So she lied. She fucking lied. Okay, she's a liar. You can absolutely inseminate yourself. One trip to Target.
They're just on the shelf. They're just on the shelf.
Well, what if it was a man who stored it and then he got the surgery done and then re-injected his own?
But how do you? It doesn't.
Then she's definitely
fucking
lying.
blown, Fox. Mom and Dad. This is craziness.
You're telling me
Same person.
Dogs running around together. Craziness.
Oh my God, man. Okay, real quick. Hold on. Jake said it's not tornado season, maybe a blizzard. I don't know if they can make it snow. Too much global warming. There's never been a terror attack on a cruise ship
yet.
Dun dun dun.
False.
The Red Sea.
It was the Apollo something where they threw the wheelchair guy off the fucking cruise ship.
That was crazy.
With everyone flooding the border, they better think about it. Was she a biologist? How does she know?
She's never been to Target.
Are we really surprised by this? Women have been doing this for years.
Yeah, that's true.
Inseminating themselves?
No. Just being like, my body, my choice. My body, my choice.
Babies.
My body, my choice. My body, my choice. We get it.
Okay. Okay. Couple things. I'm pretty sure my son just fell.
You knew her take was coming with the Lee nails, though.
Oh yeah. Dead giveaway with the Lee nails.
Okay, so let's do this one first.
I talked about this before, but I imagine today's numbers, you might want to write them down in pencil.
Absolutely, Neil. Of course, the numbers that we're experiencing now, at least in the last couple of days, just speaking with Border Patrol agents, this is by far the worst they have ever experienced in terms of illegal border crossings, especially here in Eagle Pass, Texas. Just this morning alone, there were 5,000 currently in Eagle Pass, with another 5,000 that were being held in processing centers. Right now, those centers are at capacity. Border Patrol agents don't have the capacity or the manpower to not only take care of the current situation that's happening here in Eagle Pass, but also the situation that's happening outside of that. The gotaways, the illegal activity that's taking place along the border. All the agents right now are deployed to this current area, and we're supplementing that with our state troopers, with National Guard soldiers.
Yeah.
But as you can see, Neil, and talking about those numbers, this is by far the worst that we have ever experienced along the border. And when you hear some of those comments about as far as that what we're doing right now, what Texas is doing is inhumane, that it's extreme. The only thing extreme right now is these failed border policies that continues to encourage illegal immigration between ports of entry, that puts the lives of illegal immigrants in danger by crossing a dangerous river with children, and also placing their lives in the hands of smugglers. Right now, the federal government has no solutions to this current situation. They refuse to acknowledge that there's a crisis at the border, and we're having to step in and take on that responsibility by taking historic action, as you mentioned, by signing this new law into place, which Governor Abbott signed yesterday.
I heard a border agent say that when the moms have babies on their shoulders, before they get to shore, the coyotes will take the babies and throw them in the river, so the patrol agents have to chase and save the kids.
Yep.
These aren't the best and brightest coming looking for a new opportunity.
No.
And I heard they're polling about 84% Democrat at those Eagle Pass waysides.
But so here's in the contrast. So you have Abbott. He has been shipping them out as fast as he possibly can. So here's Chicago.
The issue is not just how we respond in the city of Chicago. It's the fact that we have a governor, an elected official in the state of Texas that is placing families on buses without shoes, cold, wet, tired, hungry, afraid, traumatized, and then they come to the city of Chicago where we have homelessness, we have mental health clinics that have been shut down and closed. You have people who are seeking employment. The governor of Texas needs to take a look in the mirror of the chaos that he is causing for this country. This is not just a Chicago dynamic. He is attacking our country.
Oh, hang on now. These are the people that you wanted to welcome to your sanctuary city. Now you're saying they're being used to attack the country?
Yes.
I mean, he's half right, though.
That's hate speech.
Because the GOP strategy is just to process them into the country as fast as possible. And it's not just happening to Democrat areas. I mean, they're importing thousands into Tennessee every single day.
Yeah.
And they're doing that to other red states. And it's not talked about. It's happening, though. Ask school teachers how many ESL kids just get dropped off into their classes. They're unvaccinated. They're not treated for,
they don't speak English.
Polio, measles, English. We don't know who their parents are. We have no documentation on them whatsoever.
There was a kid in hang on just a second, Chris. There was a kid in, I want to say Connecticut, and I don't quote me on that. I'd have to go research it, but I know that he was in school and he asked the teacher to help him pay his coyote, like his smuggler. And because he was working. The kid was working and he's like 6 years old to pay off his smuggler.
Yeah,
and
it's all real.
It's crazy. Like we've reached like crazy levels at this point.
It does help the job numbers. Whiskey's right.
Yeah. Heavy said they're hypocrites.
Oh,
they're all for it until it's on their doorstep, which is so true. And it's like, it's really easy to virtue signal from Chicago that you, Texas, need to let these immigrants across the border. They're just looking for a better opportunity. And they're, okay, bro, you're a sanctuary city. I'll let you have them. You take care of these people looking for a better opportunity.
Anybody can just take reservations.
And they're like, whoa. We can't afford this. We can't afford to house and feed and take care of these people. And Texas is like, how the fuck do you think we've felt for the last 30 years? Jake says, laughing my ass off. Illegals in Texas? No problem. Illegals in Chirac? This is an attack on America.
Absolutely.
Sure
job numbers.
Realistically, though, I mean, the reason why this game is so stupid is because, like, as hard-pressed Chicago is, who do you think can afford to bus people into each other's territory all day? Indiana or Chicago and Illinois? I mean, what's going to stop them from just saying, sorry, Indiana is better pastures for you. We're going to drive you over there and drop you off in the middle of Indiana. Now it's their problem.
Well,
that's the situation we're setting up.
Right.
Who was he yelling at? The mayor. Sorry, I kind of missed it.
I think just
the
virtue
camera.
signaling in general.
He was yelling at the camera.
There's a bunch of
Because
supporters.
the mayor of New York was calling out Biden directly today.
Nice.
They have to.
Yeah,
because
that's what I'm saying.
they're
Is he doing that?
citizens.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a mayor. I'm talking to the people. They're pissed. He said it. They're pissed.
Yeah, they have elections to win too. And
so
right
that's why
now,
was he yelling at the administration? Is that who he was talking to? Is what I was asking.
I think he's yelling at the media and Abbott. I don't think Chicago has quite grasped the concept that there's the wrong you're yelling at the wrong person. Then they would be guilty of doing the same thing they're blaming Texas for. Yes, Indiana is not a sanctuary state. We don't have sanctuary cities here. So you would be shipping them somewhere they're not welcome. Did you see the whole Ashley St. Clair thing about illegals being flown all over at our dime? Yes, they are.
Nice.
And the boys told me like 2 weeks ago,
it's not just the flights.
Gift card process or something.
It's not just civilian flights. It's buses. It's taking people to military installations.
It's cards, it's phones,
hubs.
It's food, it's our resources, it's everything.
Now
Chicago doesn't have resources when there's no illegals. For their legal citizens, they don't have the resources.
Now they're floating the idea that, hey, maybe we should put these guys in our armed forces.
Oh yeah, Turbin fucking.
That's Chuck Schumer being Chuck Schumer, though.
Yeah.
Have you said ship them all to California?
Yeah. But okay, so here's something though that's kind of on point with this is all the talk about civil war in America and everybody fantasizing about how all these states will make all these alliances. I mean, we're at a time where the states can just, disregard Biden, send their national guards to the border, and shut it down if they really wanted to, but you don't see that. And with the military, with the federal military active duty mission there, and multiple National Guard units there on the border right now, they're not able to do anything except for watch and pass on by. So to the people who fantasize about civil war all day, like, it's not going to happen. It's just going to be South Africa breakdown. We can't even manage the border. How are we going to mobilize all these field armies and attack everyone?
So it's not going to look like that. That civil war doesn't have to look like 3 ranks on a field. Okay, march, war, muskets loaded. It's not what it's going to look like. It's going to start in inner cities. It's beginning.
It's just gonna be roving gangs.
I think in 20
people.
years we'll look back and be like, "Oh, it was right there. That's where it started. Wherever that is." It's always hindsight. You can see it. If you're in, I don't even know that when the actual Civil War started, they had a fucking clue they were in a war. They were fucking having a picnic at Sumter. I mean, they didn't know they were in a war. They were like, "Oh, what?" It's not going. In other words, nobody's going to get on the fucking megaphone and say, "I declare civil war." It's not how it works. Yeah.
I mean, like, to be fair, the South did declare war.
So at some point, they started making uniforms. So
right,
the South won the war. They just didn't know what to do. I mean, I could have just marched up and took it. They won. And then they're like, okay, well, we'll go home now. And they got their ass handed to them.
I got just a couple more videos left for you guys, and then we'll do 2 truths and a lie. I want a little bit of election stuff here. Ooh. So here's your Tucker Carlson videos, because I know you love him so. Tucker Q. You love him so much, Fox. Okay.
Is that real love, or are we sarcastic, Fox?
He is sarcastic. He does not like Tucker.
Who do you like, Fox? Who?
Nobody. Fox doesn't like anybody.
Oh, okay.
Like your mom.
You do like my mom. My mom, you got along with my mom.
They are a bunch of.
Would you vote for Trump if he chose Nikki as VP? And
would you guys vote for Trump? Well, that's the question that I asked you specifically.
Well, I would not only not vote for that ticket, I would advocate against it as strongly as I could. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's just poison. I mean, here's someone who's actively opposed to the interests of the country I grew up in, who endorsed the BLM riots, and who is
That's a
not only
non-starter.
is not left, but is neoliberal in the darkest, most, speaking of nihilistic way, and has no real popular support. Is a creature of the oligarchs. So yeah, that would be reason to oppose the ticket.
So before I go to the next clip, I pose the question to the room. Would you guys oppose? So let's say he makes it through. Donald Trump is the nominee. He chooses Nikki Haley as his vice president. Are you voting for Donald Trump in the next election?
Very reluctantly, probably.
Yeah, yes, of course. What are we going to vote for 4 more years of this? I can't afford 4 more years of this. Simply can't.
My answer is no, and like Nikki Haley plays no part in that analysis whatsoever. But my question to Tucker would be, well, who did BLM just endorse and who let them burn down the country in 2019?
That is
So
I think that's highly relevant.
So that was very telling for you, and this is something, Fox, that I've been wondering. I think it's really good to hear. Is Fox is obviously makes a fuck ton of money, so he doesn't have to worry about who's in office. But there's people like us out here that do like our mechanics and have 4 kids and a mortgage that are like, we're going to be sunk. Like, we're going to have to sell this house if something doesn't turn around fast. And I make more money today than I've ever made. And I have never struggled like this.
I think you'd be surprised as to how many people are struggling. Like
for like the people like me that are like tradesmen to understand where the attorneys are at. It helps me to go back to tell my technicians, like we're fucked.
Well, I mean, you'd be surprised what the average attorney income is. Like when you look at the legal profession as a whole, about 1 in 5 attorneys is somehow public sector, and the pay is not great. And something I've seen since Trump and the economy started to collapse under him, and the only good that came out of it were the stimulus checks, and that's just temporary relief. But we saw the price of goods skyrocket while economic opportunity went down. So even if you were making a decent amount of money, you were essentially operating at a loss and a pay cut under that administration.
That's so funny that people keep telling me that, but yet I'm 47 years old, Fox, and I'm not a fucking idiot. So I balance my fucking checkbook. I fucking understand these finances, and nothing in this house has changed. Nothing except for the president. Nothing. So you're telling me right now that I'm just delusional? Is that what you're telling me? That's
No, I'm not at all. I'm saying, like, I think your assumption is that I'm also not affected by this economy, and
well,
what I'm
affected by it so much. It's changing my life, going to change my life dramatically to the point
I think
where I'm
what
like,
Fox
I have to vote.
And that is most people, but I don't.
He doesn't absolve Trump of his role and his part that he played in that. I think a lot of people do.
I blame part of this is still Trump's economy, and like I get how that can seem unfair. The reality is that Biden's just continuing some of what he did, and the supply chain stuff is still real and is still screwed up from COVID. Now, obviously, I'm not saying Biden's going to make it better or the Democrats are going to make it better, but I don't see. I mean, what's Trump's economic plan going to be? He didn't really have one his first time around. The one thing he should have done from the start, which he tossed on week 1, was his infrastructure plan, because that would have like created temporary or midterm employment, even if it added to the national debt. I regardless of who's president, I don't really think the economy is going to improve significantly.
This is my 5th president that I've been an adult and had a job and owned things under, and had things that were mine that my parents were not paying for. And I did the best I've ever done during Trump out of all of it. And I'm doing the worst I've ever done. Well, 08 sucked. So that was probably the worst. But it was like boom, boom, kind of, for the tradesmen. But
how much of that do you think
fucked?
How much of that though do you think is because of the stimulus checks gave a shit ton of people money?
I didn't get a fucking penny of it either. Not one.
Let's just say you didn't receive any stimulus checks, but you work in the trades.
For it.
Did you experience an increase in business? Because every tradesman I knew went from being able to calendar them in within a month's period to like my handyman saying, dude, I'm booked a year out, because so many people had so much money all at once and they were just spending it. So like you'd go to Home Depot and it would be packed all day because people had nothing to do except for spend money and stay at home.
So yeah,
I think there was a boom.
It was a huge wealth transfer that happened very fast. And it was egregious. But
it absolutely was. I do think it helped a lot of tradesmen temporarily.
So I do commercial. I do commercial, right? So this today right now is the slowest we've ever been in my 30 years. And I do retail commercial. So right now, today, I do Home Depot, Target. I could list hundreds of accounts across the nation. And today, right now, I've never seen retails suck their money up like they are right now. They just won't fix anything. And they're okay with that. Where 3 years ago, they fixed everything, OEM, everything. Original equipment manufacturer, no matter the price was not discussed 3 years ago. It just wasn't. It was fix it. Today, every technician I have, and I'm a service manager, every technician I have in Wisconsin was home today. Not one call on the board. 14 degrees outside. There's broken heaters, I promise you. Not one call. That tells me something's happening with the retail industry right now. And they're not spending money like they would normally over the last 30 years spend it.
And we see retails contracting, we see real estate's contracting. But my question for you is, when you say 3 years ago, is that pre-COVID, post-COVID, during COVID?
Maybe 4 years. Yeah, I lose track of time. Post-COVID. During COVID. Sorry, I say 3 years.
Yeah, so
even during COVID, like I worked the whole time. Home Depot was packed. I have Home Depot's account. I have Target's account.
My take on COVID is that, yes, it was a massive wealth transfer to the elite, but it was also a massive wealth transfer to the people. Like, it was the only time where the middle classes also had a wealth transfer to them. And my take on that is that we've been in a recession since late 2019.
It all flowed to the top, though, and it's now all on credit cards.
Most of it, yes. And now what happened is, because of COVID, you had a massive influx in just spending. Nobody was saving that money. And then the supply chains failed. And then you saw like raw commodities, raw sources, and then manufactured goods weren't being shipped over on time. Their schedules were off. The supply was off. That drove prices up. And then you saw that across the board, where people got a temporary, boost in the cash on hand, but the goods started skyrocketing, and they've plateaued since, and we have less money because we're not getting, stimulus checks anymore. If you get my drift.
Well, and I think too, like, Fox, I have a question for you with regards to Trump. Prior to COVID, would your opinion of him had been different? Like, did you appreciate Trump as a president more prior to the decisions that he made during COVID? Or have you always disliked him?
I would say he had the most potential any president has had in like the last 40 years, and he didn't do much with it.
Yeah.
If COVID had not happened, I think he would have just been like an average W. Bush Clinton style president with like no remarkable wins, no impressive changes, but nothing broken. But my take was, Trump. My take was that COVID was a crisis. He completely failed to rise to the occasion. And it was at that point where I was like, this guy is a danger to everybody in power.
I think
had COVID not happened, I probably would have voted for him.
So I guess maybe let me pose this additionally differently. Had COVID not happened, would you be more apt to vote for Donald Trump this go round?
I mean, I think.
Pretend it didn't happen. Pretend that none of that happened. Would you vote for him?
If it didn't happen, I don't think we would have been divided as we are today.
Oh yeah,
I don't think things would have been crazy. So the craziness with Trump is unpredictable, but I don't possibly because we wouldn't have seen. I don't think we would have seen the side of him where he just started going after everyone in the party, because he started punching right. And this happened in 2019, and then it got super bad during COVID. And it bothered me before, but it wasn't like the biggest deal breaker on earth. But I think COVID just kind of amplified everything too.
If you could have a dream president, today, like, is anybody running that you like?
I like DeSantis. I like the Burgum guy.
I loved Doug Burgum. I really wish he hadn't.
He would have been great.
His demeanor and experience and background, I think, would have been perfect. But a problem I see in general with politics is that, you could blame it on Fox News culture, even though everybody participated in it. They created political entertainment media,
celebrity
where it became 24/7, and then the politicians became rock stars to where it was like.
That's when they lost me. Hey, Fox, that's when they lost me. When they were like, he's a rock star, I was like, what? And I just turned it off. I'm like, I'm over this.
Do you remember, in these guys, you could go through the record all day long and find reasons to hate them, but it really was completely different back when we were younger, when you still had people like Zell Miller, who is a Democrat who spoke at the RNC. You had Joe Lieberman and Trent Lott, people like that who were. Even Chuck Grassley a long time ago.
I just missed the time that we weren't butt fucking each other in the Senate floor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No pun.
I didn't put that on the agenda tonight, but
no pun intended. I wasn't sorry.
I had a high opinion of Congress until I saw the video of two dudes in Congress together in Congress.
Butt fucking. It was great. I love the tweet from I love the tweet from Cawthorn. I told you so.
Yeah.
That's what he said. You know,
that was so funny. I was trying to find the video. You remember the video of Cawthorn
talking
in his
about all of this?
crawling on another dude?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to find that video to post again because
I think I have it.
It was
I'll
funny and people kept on retweeting that. But
hilarious.
like the deep lore behind Cawthorn is he had sex harassment claims against him when he resigned. Like he is not.
How come anybody that goes against, like, I think everybody in there could have a sexual harassment charge at any moment. Just don't fucking come out of line. Is that how the Democrats keep their fucking horses in their stalls with fucking dirt from Epstein? I mean, is that what's going on here?
I would not be surprised, dude.
And the Republicans turn over too much and they can't ever really get a hold of each other like that. Like they're all fucking dirty, but they don't have like the goods like that. And
the number of innuendo
the Democrats
that
have
you
their
just slid out unintentionally in that entire line of what you
Wait, what? What happened?
I said the innuendo that you just laced into this entire sentence that you just said. It like the horse out of the stall and the and
well, they're butt fucking in the Senate, Heather. It needs to be talked about. Like, we need to shame these motherfuckers.
We talked
that
about
is
this
ridiculous.
How did we become so desensitized to where we're like, of course there's dudes butt fucking in the Senate?
Well,
like,
most people are like, they're having sex. And on Twitter, oh, they had sex in the Senate. I'm like, no, they were butt fucking on the goddamn Judiciary Committee's floor.
I swear to fucking God.
Say what it is.
The shit's not. Yeah. Are we really surprised though? Because like we all apparently it's been memory hold, but everybody forgot about the frickin' Senate page scandal and then the House Republican grooming scandals that happened that caused W. Bush to lose the majority in Congress. Like, you guys remember that?
Not at all.
No.
Yeah.
But
So this is in the era,
and I fucking drank a lot.
So this is in the era. It started with Newt Gingrich as speaker, and then it continued under Dennis Hastert. But there were all these Senate interns and pages that members of Congress were having sex with and gay sex with. And then it blew up into scandals. But what's crazy about it is you had people like Ben Sasse, the former senator, and now like Christian college president, was the intern supervisor for a bunch of the boys who got caught up in the allegations and cost Dennis Hastert his career, which is incredibly fucking sus.
Fox is good for this show.
So real quick,
Fox, you get me fired up. I like it. Now my blood's pumping. I feel good.
Gonna move to Michigan and join the militia.
Yeah, I'm gonna start one right here in Wisconsin. I don't have to move nowhere. I got Second Amendment.
Say the Tillamook boys.
Jake says he was going after people on his side during and after the 2016 elections. That's why he couldn't get his agenda through because he was too busy pursuing Wells. He was also like very ill-equipped with his staff. Like he just chose really shitty people, and that's another thing that I really did not appreciate about Trump.
Yeah, and like he was also sabotaged by the establishment right too, which is fucked up. Like,
which was okay, right?
Because
it kind of it caused a little bit of molasses in the cold happening for a minute. And that's not always bad, just to put everybody in concrete around there. Just fucking sit in your concrete for a second. Stop butt fucking on the fucking Senate floor. Sit down, children.
Jake says Chris is most definitely not the subtle type. No,
I mean, I'm subtle, right?
Jake and Chris, y'all are the same.
I know, like you guys. There's
Jake's
no.
I love Jake.
Either one
I love Jake on Spaces. I mean, he just says it how it is. I'm like, thank you. Can we just get to the fucking meat of it? No pun intended.
Okay, one more Tucker clip, and then we're gonna do two truths and a lie. Actually, no, I lied. 2 more videos.
Tucker would be a horrible vice
Would you
president,
vote for Trump if he chose Nikki as VP?
Oh, I already did this one. I'm sorry. Just kidding.
Tucker should not be in the fucking White House. But he's a great. I like to listen to him. Sometimes I'm like,
but the case, I kind of like Vivek. I think he's one of those people who everyone beats up on Vivek for being he's a phony and all this stuff. I don't know. I've covered a lot of campaigns going back to 1992, and I've noticed this thing in many candidates, and I notice it in him. The process of running for president and speaking 3 times a day and having people throw hostile questions in your face causes you to change. They all change during these campaigns, like for real, inside. And I feel like Vivek's positions have gotten much more sincere since the beginning of this. Like I watch him with Nikki Haley, and I'm like, this is a guy who's very offended by her views, like for real. He's not attacking her because she's a woman. He's attacking her because he actually thinks her views are terrible for the country he lives in. And I love that.
I actually really I know, Fox, you don't like Tucker, and we talked about this at length.
I mean, he also thinks like space lizards are flying around and
I think that Tucker is great behind the microphone. I don't need to see him in the White House. That's okay. We're good with that. I'm good with that. But I'd like to hear him behind the microphone. I put on his show when I'm taking drives, and he's insightful. He gets out there though. That's why he doesn't need to be in the White House, but he gets out there.
I do appreciate that take, obviously, because I'm a Vivek fan. But I think that he's right. Like, and I'm curious, Fox, since you're in here, and I know you don't like Vivek, I'm curious if you see the conviction that Vivek has behind, the things that he's saying now, if you think that's changed and it has, in fact, become more genuine. If he's kind of like found his groove of like the position.
I think Vivek is a guy who wants deregulation of big corporate businesses. That would benefit him personally.
Sure.
I think that's a sincere position, even though I disagree with it. I do think he's sincere on the speech issue, and just when he started just attacking Nikki Haley on her being a fascist. Like I think that for certain was was a very genuine, sincere belief. I think he's creating a profile for himself to. I don't think he's running for president. I think he's running to boost his profile for like a business venture and shit like.
You don't think he'll find his way? You don't think he'll find his way onto the next administration somewhere?
Probably
as a czar, maybe a czar.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did something in the medical field or with
is he the new Dr. Fauci, bro?
SEC regulation is probably something he's more interested in FDA. Because Heather knows how much I don't like him for certain reasons. Like I said before, I do think the libertarian anti-regulation of my big business is something he is sincere about.
So one thing about me, Fox, is I don't fall in love with politicians. They're all fucking cucks. If any of them were butt fucking on the Senate floor, it wouldn't surprise me today. Any of them. They're all, but what I do appreciate is a vessel to move the fucking football further down the goddamn field in the direction that benefits me as an American. And that's all I give a fuck about. They're all
I'd agree with everything you said.
But I'm trying to get the fucking football further.
I just don't know if any of them are trying to do that though.
Yeah.
The only advancement.
So we got to find the one guy or two.
The only advancement they do is depth penetration when they're mounted.
I would love to learn how to get depth penetration. It's not something I've ever had to mess with. Here, okay. Let's get back. He threw me off. All right. So if we could find somebody that would benefit privately, no, that's not how I need to say it.
Ron Paul.
Paul. Yeah, I love Ron. Yes.
Dr. Ron Paul.
Do what's that?
I said
You don't like
Dr.
Ron Paul either.
No, I said Dr. Ron Paul. No, I like Dr. Ron Paul.
You do or don't?
I do.
Yeah, because he's just fucking normal. And it's hard to find normal in there. It wouldn't be. We've made everybody rock stars going back to the media entertainment, and everybody got fucking drunk on the fucking on the fucking money from it. From Trump,
him and Tom Coburn actually like really did push the ball forward for a lot of people, and people forget about them now, but they kind of became well, they made it possible for more normie candidates to take more extreme positions.
If you don't take an extreme position today, Fox, you aren't running because you're not going to get your 5-second clip that you got to have. You're not going to get any kind of buzz. It's another fucking problem. Why can't it just be boring in there? No more butt fucking. I've said it twice for you, Jake.
You can't just.
And what the fuck's wrong with Alex Jones?
You can't just run as the guy in the corner chair, watching Jake's butt fucking.
Jake, what position do you think Biden will give Vivek in his next administration?
Probably doggy.
Oh my God.
I'm guessing.
All right.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies. Oh, no.
Okay. For those who are tuning in new, this is a segment called Two Truths and a Lie, where I tell you two stories that are true, one story that is a lie, and you have to distinguish which story is the lie. So, real quick, I tried to find an article supporting the one that you sent me, Fox. It does not exist. It's not real. Okay, story number one.
It is in my heart.
I figured it would be. All right, story number one. The Supreme Court has declined to hear the case of Bobby June Griggs versus South Carolina Electric and Gas, despite Griggs's insistence that the utility's publication of her rice recipe in its Rice Cook-Off Contest cookbook has been physically and emotionally devastating, causing her to have a nervous breakdown, as well as leading to a loss of marital relations between herself and her husband. Griggs's case has already been dismissed by two lower courts, costing her over $10,500 in legal fees. Story number two. In a tale of amateur archaeology, a suburban family from Boston stumbled upon a centuries-old treasure during a global scavenger hunt organized by TikTok. What was initially a routine backyard adventure turned into a historical odyssey when the Smith family unearthed a chest containing an assortment of artifacts dating back to the 16th century. Story number three. A motorist who was stopped for a routine police check was found to be wearing boots filled with baked beans and tomato sauce. Officers warned him to choose more suitable footwear. A spokesman said, "We have no idea why he was doing it, but it is an offense not to be in proper control of a car. Wearing boots full of baked beans could cause the driver to be distracted and have an accident." Those are your three stories. Which story is the lie?
So Argento was driving around with baked beans in his boots, and it's probably true. I don't like South. Nobody has South Carolina doesn't grow rice. Nobody in South Carolina has a recipe for rice. That just sounds absurd. I'm going to say one's fake.
All right, Jake says 3. Chris says 3.
Jake
Fox
knows.
says 1. Casey says 1. South Carolina, it's always South Carolina. Let me check Rumble, make sure nobody's chiming in over there.
I got it. Nope.
Man, I so much love that Twitter is feeding over to our chat now. It makes me so happy. Okay, I think that's pretty much probably everybody that's actively participating in the show. Story number 2 is actually the lie. And
Wow,
I am
you fooled
so
everybody.
excited.
Wait, what was number 2 again?
She's really dumbed down her
The
writing.
amateur archaeology with the TikTok contest.
You've really dumbed down your writing.
Yes, I did.
I should have never said anything. I fucked myself.
We should have known, like, this TikTok could honestly generate the IQ necessary for archaeology.
We're still learning who inseminates who over there. So
Like,
I
I know they're gold diggers, but they don't know anything about dinosaur bones.
So for everyone tuning in, the baked beans in the boot is a story from the London Times from June 30th of 1998. So that story is real. And the story about South Carolina, April of 1996, a woman really did try to petition the Supreme Court to she said that the utilities publication caused her extreme emotional damage. So, Jake says, Chris, what's your take on the Mahomes fine?
The fucking NFL's tyrannical. You should be able to tell them, go fuck yourself. The fucking call sucked, even though the call was absolutely correct. That guy was any further fucking offsides, he plays for the fucking Bills. So it was Mahomes was being a crybaby bitch. But he should be able to be a crybaby bitch without getting fined. Tyrannical motherfuckers. Fuck
How
the
much was
hell.
the fine? I actually haven't followed this.
I don't know how much it was, but I know they got on fucking camera and talk shit. But the dude was fucking way off. The dude basically had to put a Bills helmet on if he got any further.
So it really was like his team's fault that
He was 50 grand. Jesus Christ.
Wow, that's a lot. Well, I guess
That's nothing to those guys. They play in a different zone than we do.
yeah, apparently. Okay. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in.
Ooh.
I love you guys, especially to our audience. Your participation is always the best part of our show. Thank you so
Fox,
much.
come
for
back
that.
next week.
Fox,
come back next week, please.
thank you so much. I know you're really busy. The fact that you took the time to come on with us tonight to answer all of our legal questions. I love you. I appreciate you. You're wonderful. Thank you so much.
And you actually argue with me, even though I get all like, my people always say, "Oh, you get real pissed," and I'm not mad. It's just how I talk. But you actually, we'll talk.
Yeah, we're
about it.
good.
It's good. It's fun. I like
except
it.
for like you're completely wrong on Mahomes. Like Roger Goodell's a great guy. He makes very wise decisions. Taylor Swift's been great.
Yeah, I mean he does from a financial standpoint, but let the motherfuckers talk. It's good for my shows whenever they can talk.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much. You guys take care. Have a great night. Love you guys.
Later.
Later.